So if you look under consent, under certified employment, it should be number 6, I believe, in consent.
5.
I have some changes there. Under the section there, we had a TBD or to be determined for Johnstown Elementary School intervention specialist. We're not going to have that position tonight. At this time of the year, we're working through a lot of personnel matters, and sometimes we're beholden to background checks and other processes. So we'll just remove that from the agenda tonight. Also, we have 2 people we want to add tonight. Judith Bennett is here, and we'll introduce her to the board when we get to consent, but before you vote. And then Jackie Wiggins, they're both, should be on your copy of the agenda that you'll see. And then we also, he's not on the agenda, but we want to introduce Jesse Brunton from Johnstown High School, our new geometry teacher. So you voted for him, approved him last month, but we'll ask Mr. Shipton to introduce him when we get the consent agenda, okay? That's it for the personnel. Under treasurer recommendations, we have a few changes. First of all, under donations, we're going to add a donation. We're adding the Charles and Patricia Kessler Scholarship Fund, and that'll be for $5,000. That'll be, I'm sorry, that's under the treasurer section of the agenda. It will be outside of consent, so it'll start on, should be page 13, maybe your document might be a little different. So.
I have it on 11.
11, sorry.
11?
Yep, page 11, yeah. So treasurer recommendations, and then mine has notes in it, so paginate's a little different. So under donations, we added one because it just came in, and it's the Charles and Patricia Kessler Scholarship Fund. It's for $5,000, and that's 2 $2,500 scholarships. If you recall, that was a new one that was started last year. And then also we have a correction to one of the resolutions. So it will be resolution 25-05-099. It's the Woodhull agreement. If you look under recommended action, there's a typo there. It shows $38,000, or I'm sorry, $34,800. It should show $3,800 a month, and that's the lease rate. That's for the standard that we use. Okay. 2 more changes. If you look at resolution 25-05-017 and 018, I'm going to add the same language to both. It's 25-05-117, I'm sorry, and 118. And it's transportation deemed impractical. Right there. You're doing a good job.
Page 18?
Yeah, it probably is, your page 18, and, yeah, both on page 18. What I want to change on that is, it originally said to approve a resolution declaring impractical the transportation of students as presented for the 24-25 school year. And we're going to add on to that and add "and proof of proper custody and residential address within the Johnstown-Monroe School District for the 24-25 school year." So I'm going to add that phrase, "and proof of proper custody and residential address within the Johnstown-Monroe School District for the 25-26 school, or I'm sorry, 24-25 school year," and that'll be for resolution 117 and 118. And just the thoughts there is, we have a residency process we go through, and we actually have a tip line and all too, so there's some due diligence we want to further conduct on those 2 resolutions. I think those are all the changes. Did you have anything else? We covered all those, treasure. Yeah.
Would
Those are
that be
all
for 25-26, or it is correct?
It is 24-25 because it's this school year, yeah.
Okay.
No, it is this school year. We always do it at the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that part is correct. You want me to go through any of those again, or, there's a lot, but it's a big agenda. There's 24 pages, so.
To add an executive session as well for personnel.
Okay. Where do we want to add that?
I think we can add it actually at the end as we're, after we vote on everything. is on these. Let me share this with,
Do you want to do like make resolution 129A then?
yes, whatever at the very end.
Okay.
after. We're not expected to have an action afterwards.
Okay. So we could do resolution 25-05-129A. And,
We can go at the end.
And that's great.
I'll just read that into
Okay.
so that would be for personnel, you said?
Personnel, correct.
Okay, so it'll be, the formal one is consideration of the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll add that, 129A near the end. Okay, I think those are all the changes unless there's questions.
Any questions, comments? All right. So, if I can get a motion, or do you want to go to the resolution to adopt the agenda? 25-05094.
Yes.
If I can get a motion,
I'll make the motion.
can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Any remarks by the public? None? Okay, thank you. Move on to presentation.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll start with the obvious here. So this is Charlie Chapman, who's sitting next to me, and we have a full day scheduled together on Friday, but the way our cycle works with board meetings, we thought we'd have her here so she could be a part of the festivities tonight. So as part of the PTO, we offered a superintendent for a day option or opportunity, and Charlie is going to meet with some city officials and some other municipalities. We'll probably look at the fire department, and we'll spend a little bit of time. We have transportation helping us out on Friday, and then we're going to try and eat lunch together. Maybe we'll go see your brother, kind of show off a little bit, right? And at the middle school in 6th grade, you know, we'll do that later on. So, but happy to have her here, and I just think it's really emblematic to see the partnership we have with the PTO and families and all too. So I think mom and dad are here. And Charlie, you want to say anything or tell us a little bit about yourself? You have to speak up because the microphone's there, but you have a brother?
Yeah.
Okay, tell him about He's in 6th grade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're in 4th grade, correct? Okay, good. So, anything you want to tell us about 4th grade that's exciting, or?
Who's your teacher?
My teacher's Miss Cartwright.
Oh, yeah, right, Mrs. Cartwright, you have her.
We know
That's
her.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
we
know
know
her.
her.
Yeah, that's good. And then 5th grade next year, are you thinking about camp?
Yeah.
Yeah, excited about it?
Yeah.
What have you heard about camp?
That it's fun.
It's fun? Okay, good. This year it rained a lot, so I wouldn't listen to people because they were really wet this year, so, but I still think they had fun, so that'll be good. Yeah. Anything else you want to share? No? Okay. Well, we'll have a fun day on Friday anyway, so we'll spend some time and we'll go meet with some of the people in the community, like I said, most of the,
It's going to be a long day
Leaders.
for you. Dr. Wagner starts at like 5 a.m. and usually doesn't get home till like 9 p.m. So.
it's not a snow day, so you don't have to worry about it. They'll start at 4:30, but I won't call you that early.
There's a break for lunch.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
They-
the first
they
order
keep
of
me
business.
busy.
We're not
This
having
is the
school.
Board of Education. They keep me busy, so it's okay. Anything else you want to share? Who are your mom and dad? You want to?
Just pick 2 people.
Tell us what their names are.
Nick and Amanda.
Nick and Amanda. Okay. Well,
I
that's
want to
good.
know if she's always this quiet. I figured
This
not,
is a,
but
this
you
is
know,
a big audience.
But yeah,
And I told her that we record all this, so we'll send you the link, and you'll be able to see yourself and hear yourself, and a nice memory, huh? Mr. Swager, I have a little bit, I know we're kind of early in the process, but here's a certificate that you and some of the board members can present. And then we also have a banner. Maybe you could
Yes.
present that to Charlie and then get some pictures, if that's okay? Maybe we
Yep.
could stand up back here and,
Sounds
you know,
great.
why don't you start with a certificate? Mr. Swager is our board president, so.
So we have a certificate for you recognizing today as the superintendent for a day, signed by the board members here and Dr. Wagner. So congratulations and thank you. Can you turn around and show that?
Yep.
Board members, maybe we could have you all stand up here and we'll get,
You
we have a
be in
certificate.
the middle.
Yep, and we've also got,
You know what, let's come over here so with that light leads in the background, so you guys come on over here. Charlie, why don't you?
Nope. Go ahead and flip it down.
We'll get you kind of squeezed in here. How's that?
We're missing the treasurer.
Yeah, gotta get the
Yeah.
Charlie
Yeah,
in here too.
we're missing
Very
the
important
treasurer.
job.
Make sure you
Let's
hold
get
it
it.
down low so you
Yeah, we
don't
wanna
cover your
See
face.
your face.
Yeah, no covering
Don't cover your
the
face,
see
that
him?
would be bad, right?
Here, push those in.
Do we need to move the chairs? Is it straight? No,
Okay,
it's up
everyone
high.
look this way.
Be lower,
Gotta
maybe.
look up here.
Okay.
There we go. One more. Got it.
Okay, good. That's very good. So this is yours.
Yours
We'll
is
roll
key.
this
Yep.
up. We'll roll this up.
How
so
cool is that?
very
Keep
nice.
that.
I will.
You gotta roll it up.
You got it already got it started.
You gonna hang that in your room?
Parents, there's two over
Show
here.
it to all your friends.
So I'll give you another update after Friday and be kind of excited. There you go. I think there's some, give you some rubber bands for that.
Just gotta get her LinkedIn updated.
Give this to your mom and dad too, okay? But I'll give you an update after Friday, and I'm sure you'll see. Well, we're not going to publish anything on social media until after Friday, so we get everything, so that's yours.
There you go.
Our high school made that, by the way.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, how nice.
How exciting. You ready for the next presentation? Okay. Couple financial issues tonight, and Mrs. Drummond will talk about it, but you're going to have the 5-year forecast to look at, and then also want to talk about building projects as well, too, so we have a transfer coming up. So, Mrs. Drummond, do you want to talk a little bit, and I'll jump in
Sure.
where needed?
Sure. For the benefit of our community, we just wanted to revisit the evolution of our capital planning that you might recall back in July of '23. The board office moved to the 85 West Douglas, and we're now sharing with the intermediate school, and began plans to demolish the old house and plan for the addition on the high school. That continued with the strategic planning committee and buildings and grounds that hard work brought a GMP to the board and community in December of '24 that we approved. And as we engaged in that process, we learned about some economies of scale that exist when these contractors are already on site. And there were opportunities that allowed us to kind of expand the scope of our strategic planning. And the projects that we've worked on have moved from 4 projects to 6 projects that will be funded by our capital projects fund with no additional cost to taxpayers. Those 6 projects include the high school addition, the purchase of this lovely facility that we will maybe use here in the future as a board office, improvements to our PAC in the forms of seating, a multi-purpose building that will be constructed adjacent to this building. Also, the expansion, we have the opportunity to look at our West Athletic Campus and North Athletic Campus and make improvements to those. So we just wanted to revisit that because we are looking to pay for these from our capital projects fund, and later the board will have on the treasurer's recommendation a request to transfer $4.5 million to continue the funding of these projects in the future. Would you like to add anything?
No, except that, as you said, this is all within our planning, and if you recall, we started this back in the late fall of 2023, actually, and then we published our first RFQ back in March of '24, and then April of '25 was the RFP after that. So this is all part of our larger process, and I think it's, I've been asked about, how this capital planning fits in with our overall budgeting, and the good news is we've planned for it. As I said, there's been some time, so we're doing fine. I guess if you had to look at it like we're solvent as a school district, we can handle this, but, we're still very fiscally conservative, and I think we're good where we are. I always tell people, they ask about any of these building projects, the board made a commitment years ago to try and not go back to the taxpayers and ask for new money. So we've been using our existing funds to the best of our ability. So I feel good about where we are, and really all the time we spend as a finance committee as well as the entire board just working on strategic planning, capital projects as part of that, and the financials as well. So happy to answer any questions from the board. If you have any.
The high school edition looks very nice. I had a chance to look at it, and
Yeah.
I'm just fascinated how fast
Yeah.
it's going up. And
I sent you guys an update on Friday if you see, but they're actually, the roof sheathing is going on, and, so everything's coming together. They're in schematic design for the building to go next, so this will be the next project here is right next door, and working on that, so they're through schematic design, and then we're looking at all the other projects. One of the things that you'll see, and we just published this on Sunday officially, is because there's been some variations in our project, as Mrs. Drummy said, we were expecting to build a board office, and then we bought this, and, we didn't put the lean-to on the building because of space, but yet we bought, this building, and we're using the back, so there's some variation. So because of that, we published a request for qualifications that went into Sunday's paper, and that'll be to cover some of the projects that have been modified through this process. So that'll cover the, what we're kind of calling the West Campus now, but that'll be baseball, softball, band concessions. So we're looking at all that, drainage, of course, included with that, and, restrooms and all. And then we're also looking at the North Campus and how we're going to work on that campus a little bit too. So qualifications are published, and then I actually have received probably about 8 emails today, and we'll have a formal response to those qualifications. So those are companies that are potentially interested in our school district. And then from there, following that, then we'll put requests for proposals out after that too. But happy to answer any questions the board has. I think you're very involved with all this, but I think it's good to just review things. So. And the forecast you'll see tonight is this is all included in there. So.
Yeah. Would you like me to speak to the forecast now since we're talking about funding, or wait for that? Just a few highlights.
Go ahead.
for it.
We're on
Go
it.
ahead.
Go for it.
Well, we've spent a lot of time as a finance committee, a board, and administration looking at the state budget proposal and, trying to finalize the forecast. What it shows us is current year revenue is exceeding our projections modestly. We do have lean but positive cash balances throughout the forecast that show that we have, financial stability through the 5 years of our forecast. And this stability really is to the credit of the board and its proactive approach to strategic planning in dedicating resources for future facility growth. It also shows, honoring the commitment to the community to at least partially, fund construction of new facilities without new money. The forecast also reveals some declining revenue in 2029 when our income tax expires. So we would be modeling the renewal of that. Outside of that, I think we're just continuing to watch and monitor legislative action so that we can just stay nimble and absorb and adjust whatever financial pressures come our way from that legislative action. But we are positioned nicely to adjust and change as may be needed.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? I think, we remain fiscally conservative, and that's the thing that we need to remain fiscally conservative so we can remain fiscally solvent. So,
Well said.
I appreciate that. All right, moving on to
Committees?
board committees?
Yeah. So our first one we have is Buildings, Grounds, and Safety, and Buildings, Grounds, and Safety met on April 24th.
The Buildings and Grounds did meet on April 24th, and at that time, we interviewed 3 vendors for our cleaning contract. We've had some issues with keeping the schools as clean as we would like, but we're also monitoring that to be sure that as we enter into the next contract, with whomever that may be, that we're going to get some really great cleaning and great people and so forth. So it took really most of the meeting to just talk to the different vendors and interview and see their strengths and weaknesses. The new technology that's available to monitor cleaning services is pretty fantastic. It's always, we are growing into a very different age as we move along, and it was just interesting to see what kind of tools we can use to monitor the strength of the cleaning contracts. So excited about that. The other issue for the committee at that time was the maintenance department. We looked at structure and what we'd like to see from that group in the next year, and it will be voted on. We don't have all those recommendations yet, but we're certainly working on it. So, Ann, I think you were there too, so what did you see or anything that you want to bring up at this point?
I second what you said, and I think we did have some discussion with Harvard while they were in. They were one of the 3 that came in to see us to discuss current issues that we're experiencing. So if you are in those buildings and you've reported items, those were addressed in there. Dr. Wagner addressed some issues with them as well as Mr. Busenberg and Mr. Jenny. So we'd like to hold them to getting better and being fully a force of custodial.
Thank you.
That's good.
It was a long
Yeah.
meeting.
Later tonight, there's a resolution to give us authority to start negotiating a contract with one of those companies.
Yes.
So, not done yet, but as you said, Mrs. Burr, if that is successful, then we'll bring, another resolution back to the board.
Great.
Okay. And then we also had policy that met on April 21st.
Yes. We reviewed 11 policies during that. Derek's looking at me. Please make sure I get this right. We reviewed 11 policies during that time. I believe they're all from the Neola update still. We're making our way through a variety of policies, health and well-being, graduation requirements, some updates to College Credit Plus, just a variety of stuff. So they're all on the agenda for first reading.
Thank you. We got 3 other committees scheduled later this week, it looks like.
Yeah. In fact, remind me to talk to Mrs. Boer and Mr. Benton about finance, because I want to check your schedules and make sure you're good. We tentatively have a meeting on the 19th.
The off Monday.
Yeah.
So you want to have
Yeah,
it
Monday.
before the board meeting? Is that what I just was looking
Yeah.
here?
Next Monday, a week.
Next
from
Monday.
Right.
That's
The
fine.
19th.
Yeah.
Yeah, 19th
Did
is
you see
fine.
the invitation for it?
I'm good on the 19th.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you
So
see
we're
the
good?
invitation for the,
Okay,
And you'll be here on the 20th?
yep.
who do we have?
Business.
Mrs. Lowe, what time did you have for the finance?
Let's see, we got both here, technology
All right,
and
yeah.
policy, so that's good. We can do both.
No pressure.
Okay, let me ask you this.
3 p.m.
Do you have 3 PM?
I believe so.
We have a 5 o'clock board session today.
Right,
Yeah.
it's 5, so.
Yeah.
On what day? The 19th? Oh,
Three.
yes, the 19th.
Yeah, I
do
thought
three.
we,
Work or
3?
3?
Do we have
yeah, we already sent something out, didn't we? Didn't Debbie already send something out?
Yeah, but I don't think we
Okay.
got confirmation.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
Three
yeah,
o'clock.
yeah, she already sent it out.
Good? All right,
Yep.
we'll
packed
finalize it.
snacks? You're going to be here a while.
Okay, so we'll do finance 3 o'clock on Friday,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, the 19th.
You'll be here for 6 hours to bring dinner.
So you're bringing dinner?
So the second group coming in needs to bring dinner, is that what you're saying?
Is that what you said, Tim? Tim's on the record then?
I would just like to add one thing about curriculum. We didn't have a meeting, but I talked with Dr. Wagner and Mrs. Seibel on Friday by phone, and you'll see in our agenda that we have a proposal for HMH. I wanted to just say that if you looked at it, the WAGL that's included in there, and I said that I would address this part to the board members, but that's for 6 through 8. It replaces iReady. That's why there's so many licenses. That's each student would have its own license, and it would be like Alex that we use in math. So if you had questions on that, I'm not sure, I know I wasn't as clear on that. I wanted to just make sure everybody else had seen that too.
Thank you.
Next is LPDC.
All right,
Okay.
excellent.
Okay, so I'll report on LPDC. The team met on May 6th, and we had Stephanie Stuckey, Laura Kurtz, Renee Britton, Annette Price, Derek Busenberg, and Brad Werman were in attendance. They looked at individual professional development plans. They approved 2, they modified 1, and they returned 3 others for modification. There were some people who had to submit their individual professional development plans. Yours one of them, so I gotta look it over. It's the treasurer's one. Mine was also approved from, we have to participate like everyone else. Then there was some other staff, I won't read all the details in here, but they did go through and look at the individual professional development plans. We also had license renewals, so there were 6 staff who qualified for that, and the committee approved. They also approved contact hours for staff. And then we spent some time, and Mrs. Schaefer, there she is. Mrs. Schaefer and I went into the LPDC from the union president position as well as administration and just talked through a couple issues. We have that House Bill 8 that's coming online in July. So we wanted to make sure that we're already looking forward and making sure we comply. So there's some things we're looking at when it comes to course descriptions, trying to understand what courses, with more details, we're asking for course descriptions to make sure we have that in front of the committee and for the administration as well. And then also looking at the composition of the LPDC, Local Professional Development Committee members and who's attending. And one of the things that came out of that was making sure we have substitutes because we know people get pulled in different directions, but there's a minimum or quorum that's required, and we want to make sure we're meeting that as well as there's a maximum. So we had a good discussion there, and I think it was a good near end of the year review. So all very successful and some work to do there that we'll follow up on. And then our next meeting will be June 10th, and that'll be at noon at the board office. And I'm supposed to say that's a date change if anybody was looking at the original date, but that's only for the LPDC members. And that's all for LPDC.
Excellent, thank you. Moving on to consent.
Okay, so resolution 25-05-095 is the consent agenda. And I'll start with resignations. We have multiples there, and I'll go through and I'll talk about that in a minute if you want. I guess I should let you do a first and second right before I start talking. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we can get a motion
I'll make the motion.
and a second.
I'll second it.
So we start with resignations, and I'll talk about that. We have employment, certified employment. So when people are at the end of contracts, we have to bring them up for renewal, so you'll see that. Classified employment there, supplemental, some information about that. I guess, Mr., you probably want me to go through in detail on some of this, right? So I just go through.
The
Okay.
ones that need it.
Yeah, okay, I'll start at the end, sorry. So resignations will start, we have some staff are resigning, and always hate to see that. Some people have been here relatively short period. I do want to call out Joan Major, though. She's been here for 18 years, so she's leaving us. She started in the 2007 school year and started in Title I, and then has been a 5th grade teacher most recently, so she's leaving us. Jeff Ring started way back in 1999, and he recently tried to kind of semi-retire. I guess we kind of let him do that, but he's actually going to be officially done as some other requirements. And then some others there who are resigning, I'm sorry, and I won't go through everyone in detail, but wanted to call out at least those 2. Administrative employment, we have our Mr. Busenberg for a 3-year contract, and then our school psychologists by procedure are considered administrators as well. Next, we have certified employment, as I started to say before, people at the end of contracts, so they're all listed. Classified employment, similar. Supplemental employment, one I wanted to call out was the JV girls basketball coach, because last year we had talked about our numbers were low, and we wanted to make sure that we watched that. We kept the program, or kept the supplemental there, trying to build the program. Got some information from Mr. Gant, who may not be here anymore. But we have 18 people now for next year, so we have 10 for varsity and 8 for JV for next year. So our numbers have come up a bit, so we're recommending continuing that supplemental. But again, this year we have enough students for it. Pupil activity, employment, listed there. Sherry Summers for our English learners, and she does an abbreviated schedule but helps. Some extended days for some of our staff who work outside the normal teaching schedule. You can see it there. Food services substitute. Sorry, this is a long section here. Volunteers, we always appreciate our volunteers, so they're listed there by name and then by school. We then have the then and now certificates for LACA. We don't typically like to do things retroactively, but that was because of some scheduling, so we actually got their, we had to pay for their work before we were able to bring it to the board. Next one, we have up to 10 extended days for LACA for EMIS. Later you'll see it tonight that we have an EMIS coordinator for the board to approve, and if approved, we also want to have some transition time, so we put up to 10 days with LACA for that in the agenda. We have our nursing contract with Licking Memorial Health Systems, board meeting minutes, and then the finance report. Okay, I think I covered everything in consent. Big section again, sorry, it's that time of the year, so. Any questions or anything I can answer about consent?
I'm gonna apologize, but I am not able, I have to abstain for the whole section, or we have to remove L. Authorize the then and now certificate due to, my own employment. I'm in the telecom business. I can't approve the wireless and fiber for that.
The then and now certificates?
Yeah, I missed that somehow on the first draft.
Okay,
Apologize,
that's okay.
because I know that messes
Do we-
everything
yeah,
up in the
you
whole
wanna-
thing.
If I can get a motion to remove L from the consent agenda. So make a motion
I'm
then.
sorry, Tim.
I'll move to
Yeah.
remove the,
Oh, she
item
has,
L
Yeah,
from the agenda.
Actually, what you have to do is have to have a
Close the
motion.
first one.
Well, no, you have to have a motion to amend the agenda first of all.
Motion
after
to-
that.
so,
So let's make that resolution, hold on for a second.
Do I have
Have
to?
a number.
yeah, you have to,
Hold on for a second.
yeah,
I'll make the motion to amend.
and I'll second it.
Hold on one second, let's catch up here, guys. Okay,
How did I miss that?
so,
I missed it.
sorry, it takes a second to get there. Okay, so we'll have so it'll be 25-05-095A will be a motion to amend the, 95, sorry. 95A will be to amend
Okay,
the agenda.
so you have a motion and a second, so then vote.
We have a motion and a second to amend the agenda. Call the roll.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes,
Mrs. Boer?
Yes,
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes,
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
And then I would do 95B, which will be to remove L from the consent.
Yep.
Okay.
So 2505-095B, if I can get a motion to remove L from consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
and I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes,
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
abstain.
Mrs. Boer?
yes.
And then
We're
Mr.
back to make the
Swager, I was
motion.
gonna
yeah,
Then we
make the
have to
motion
make-
with the,
Now we
Then I'll
need a
make-
motion to insert L. Why don't we,
Just testing everybody.
hold on for a
Good-
second.
good
Sorry, I'm just
practice,
trying to
I
get
got
Aaron.
my
to the
book
right-
out for
Good
Robert's Rules of Order here.
Sorry.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, well,
Why don't we
I'll
do,
look at it.
we'll do 25-05-099A, and then we can take that as the first superintendent recommendations. And that will be to vote on L then.
Yep.
How's
If I can
that?
get a motion for 25-05-099A, we'll put that as a item, moving L as a superintendent recommendation to vote separately.
Right.
If I can get that motion.
so moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mr. Benton,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas.
Abstain.
Okay, and before we vote on consent, and we're good with everything with consent.
Anything else in consent?
I want to make sure to have a couple of people introduced to you.
Yep.
Too. How's that? Mr. Shipton, do you want to start with Jesse, and then I know the board approved him, and then I'll ask Mr. Werman for Judith Bennett, and then Mrs. Wagner for Jackie Wiggins. Sorry.
Good evening, Board. Superintendent Charlie. As Dr. Wagner mentioned previously, earlier this evening, the Board approved hiring of Jesse Brunton last month at the April board meeting. Jesse comes to us from graduate of Mount Vernon Nazarene University, graduating in 2023. He's in his first year of teaching at Logan Hawking Middle School. Currently teaches sixth grade mathematics. Jesse earned a degree in integrated mathematics, 712, and then also just a mathematics degree on top of that as well. So he was actually took a tour of the high school this afternoon. Our instructional coach, mathematics coach, Lisa Allen, gave him the tour. He's met with her, getting some things online here. First year teaching in public school down at Logan Hawking. Unfortunately, they had reduction in staff. And for being the new guy on the block, he was not retained for next year, unfortunately. But fortunately for us, I think he's going to work out really well. So please let me introduce the board, Mr. Jesse Brunton.
Hi, my name is Jesse Brunton. Like I said, a first-year teacher. I don't know what much to say. I know I'm just very excited to be here, be part of the Johnstown community. I've heard nothing but good things about it, just from my mom. She's an accountant for certain school districts, and she's had nothing but good things to say about it. So, and I know in my time here, I feel very, very welcome. Just very excited to get started. So, thank you. I really do appreciate it.
No, you don't get away that.
We can ask questions.
Sorry.
No, not that.
I'm sorry.
No, we get to ask the question.
Right, we always
Okay.
have questions.
We already voted yes, so.
Okay, well, cool. Thank you.
So, you know.
I can add a resolution up
No.
there. Withdraw.
Learned how to do that.
So on my side, I always ask everybody, do you have any extracurricular activities and any interest in it? Because we're always looking for extra coaches, extra volunteers, extra anything.
So I played golf in college, so I like to do golf.
Hook him
Yeah.
up with Mr. Archibald, our golf coach, and they're always looking for, and there may be vacancies there. So anytime we can get our teachers in extracurriculars in any way, I would think it's advantageous to us as a school district, because you know the kids, you learn the kids, and you carry that after school. Not that we don't appreciate all the non-teaching coaches, but it certainly is a benefit when you've got a teacher in the hallway that can yell at you. You know, when you're doing something, to hold you accountable.
Wow.
That's the fact. I mean, I do like that. So, do you live in the area?
I do not. So I live in Lancaster, which is like 50 minutes south of here. So it's completely doable. But I plan in the.
Pronounce it right. So you live down there.
I do pronounce it right. Yes, Lancaster. Yes. But yeah.
So would you plan to move into the area?
Absolutely. Yep.
As well?
Absolutely. Yeah. I just need to.
Long time.
Yeah. Just save some money first, then absolutely. Yeah. Plan on moving up here soon. So.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
And we have no plans for reduction in staff. So
That is
and
awesome.
We love math, right, Tim? We're,
Oh, good.
Two of us
Good.
are engineers. So
Oh,
we really
okay,
like
okay.
math, right?
He asked
Okay.
about that, rightly so.
Right,
So we
right.
assured him that we're a growing school district.
We're a growing school district,
Yeah.
and we need good math teachers. Right?
Good.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
Hopefully to add to it. I hope so. But, yeah. It's definitely one of the biggest things. I'm like, so how's everything looking for enrollment? They said really good. I'm like, thank goodness. So I'm like, I don't want to hop around. I fully plan on just if you'll have me just to start here and stay here, hopefully for my career. That I really do plan on it. So if you'll have me for that,
Excellent.
We talked about a destination
Welcome.
district.
thank you. Yes, thank you.
Good.
So we talked about a destination district. when we
Yeah,
did the interview,
yeah.
so, yeah.
well, we are one, right?
Oh yeah.
I believe, right?
We're
Well,
glad
welcome.
to have you.
Welcome
Yes,
aboard.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
No, Judith and Jack, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna? Mr. Werman, do you want to introduce Judith?
So as you know, Reagan Cozio is moving up to Danville to be with her husband and part of that music program there, which is a loss for us, but we're excited. We had a lot of great candidates for our interview process, actually. We had about 10 candidates apply. We interviewed 4 that were really strong. We had really good turnout, so that was good. Judy Bennett, who we selected, she is just graduated from Mount Vernon. Still actually is going to be there over the summer as an RA, right? So she's still going to be there. But something that we found with her was she's very knowledgeable. She also did a little bit of an internship with the Zarellis. I think we know them, right?
Yeah.
So she's worked with them a little bit. They had nothing but great things to say about her. We're very excited about the things that she's going to do at Johnstown Intermediate School. She also has actually come in and shadowed today already, so just kind of get to see the building, get to know the people. We're really excited to have her. So if you want to come on up, Judy.
Hi, everyone. Like he said, I'm Judy. I just graduated from Mount Vernon Nazarene, and I'm super excited, like Jesse said, to have the opportunity to work in the Johnstown district. I had a really great experience student teaching with the Zarelli, so I'm really excited to be a part of the music program in this town.
That's great.
Excellent. High expectations here in that music.
Yes.
Yep.
Look forward to it.
Again, very highly regarded from the Zarellis, so as Mr. Werman said, that means something, though, of course.
Yeah,
So
it does.
she had a great experience here and fits in well, so.
Where is home? From where will you live? And
So my parents live in Indiana right now, so I'm.
Long drive.
We already talked
So
about
I'll move up a little sooner than Jesse. Like he said, I'm summer RA at Mount Vernon Nazarene, so I'm just about 30 minutes away right now, and then I'll move a little closer to the area.
Welcome.
Yeah, we talked about a 3.5-hour commute.
Yeah, that's tough to do.
We talked about that, but she's the RA this summer, so she's
Yeah.
got an opportunity to
Excellent.
spend some time in the area.
Yeah.
That's great.
There's tons of Johnstown kids up there too, so I'm sure you'll.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you get
got a
to
couple
see
on the
them.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Well, welcome aboard.
Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome.
And then we'll have Mrs. Wagner talk about Jackie Wiggins.
Charlie, you're doing a great job, bro.
By the way, I'd asked you about extracurriculars, but if you're doing music, that is your.
That's it.
it's about as extra
That's
as it gets.
extra, right?
Well, Superintendent Charlie, Mrs. Douglas and I are so proud of you. You've grown up so much, and this year you've been away from us.
Good career advancement.
Well, you set her on the right path,
Instruction there,
right?
Jamie.
I know, right?
Third grade really polished her up. She's great.
Exactly. Well, I am so excited to bring to you 2 candidates tonight. First, we have Maria Bullard, and she is a graduate of The Ohio State University. She is currently teaching in Columbus Public, and she's been there for 6 years. She'll be joining our 2nd grade team. And then our other person is Jackie Wiggins, and she is a graduate of University of Dayton. She finished her student teaching. This past year, it was more like a whole year internship. And she'll be in what's called the to be determined position. We're hoping to have those kindergarten numbers. And so these are our 2 candidates. You ladies want to come up? I try not to steal all the questions they've asked, where you live and all that.
Hi, nice to meet you guys. I am super excited to join Johnstown. I'll tell a little bit about myself. My cousins went to Johnstown, and my husband went to Johnstown too. And I always idolized them and wanted to be a Johnny, and I finally get to be a Johnny. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, sorry, Maria, I should have, we had the additional names, but Maria actually comes from the Columbus schools, actually, so, but she's moved to the area, or lives in the area now, and long history, right, with Johnstown-Monroe schools, so very excited to have her here.
Have you memorized the alma
I was gonna say,
mater?
we saw one baby.
You what?
Have you memorized the alma mater for
I have not. I will.
first assignment?
Yes.
Oh, gosh, Ruth Ann. Scare people.
She'll know it soon. They sing it enough.
Yes, well, she will, yes. Yeah.
She can already
You
play
can
it.
work with her, yeah.
I'll learn. I'm a quick learner.
Well, excellent. What school district? I know you said Columbus, but what school were you at?
I was at Northtown
Okay.
for 2 years, and then before that, Westgate, which was an hour drive. So I feel for you. The drive.
Maria
West Side.
Maria also has experience, well, she's got training, almost finished up her intervention specialist, so she's got a broader base.
I just have to
in addition
take the
general ed
test.
too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody. As these ladies said, my name is Jackie Wiggins. Just finished up my Bachelor of Science in Early Childhood Education at the University of Dayton. Actually, just 2 weeks ago, I finished my student teaching. So, spent the whole year in Centerville City Schools at Primary Village North in a first grade classroom. And I am just beyond excited to be here. I feel so fortunate to have the opportunity to have my very first teaching job and begin my career at Johnstown. So I appreciate you having me, and I'm very excited.
Well, you got a Dayton Flyer fan down there.
Yeah, all four of my kids went to Dayton.
No way! Yes, go Flyers!
Yeah, go Flyers.
Yes.
But they were all engineers.
Okay.
So
Amazing program.
What? Yeah, it's amazing.
Really good program.
Yeah, there's most of the school is engineers. So.
Right? Engineers and education majors is what we say. But yes.
And we're excited to have Jackie here too because she brings a lot of enthusiasm. She had an interesting, spent a whole year at a school for student teaching. We found that interesting.
Whole year, which was amazing.
Yeah, so that's really unique. We hadn't seen that before.
You did that over in Dayton,
and then,
city schools? Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is kind of an asterisk because we had open conversation about our kindergarten enrollment, so we're watching.
Right.
So maybe kindergarten, but
Yes.
we'll.
Happy to be wherever I'm needed, so I'm excited.
He said, you're the right person for this. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And those are before you vote, so now you get to meet everyone. So.
Well, yeah, we already hired him. The rest.
Well, I know,
guess
but
we
you could always.
technically have to
Hey,
vote.
we could always.
Technically, we got to vote.
You could rescind
Yes.
if you wanted to.
Yes.
Like I said, no, we wouldn't want to do Jesse. We're happy he's here.
All right. Any other questions, comments? So we're voting on everything minus L on
Minus
the
L.
consent agenda. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Swager?
Yes. Well, we're moving on to, I don't know how you're doing this.
I think we moved L to before the superintendent's
Yeah.
report.
So next we'll go to treasurer.
Yeah, we're going to treasurer recommendations next? Okay. Over to you.
All right. The first resolution, 2505-096, is asking the board to approve donations. And I'd like to just share who those are from. Clowder and Company Architects, $200 for the Karen Hartman Memorial Scholarship. The Johnstown Choir Boosters donated new dresses for Bella Voice. Jeremy and Marianne Derenberger donated to the James Worther Citizenship Award, $100. Lawrence and Sharon Poole also donated to the James Worthen Citizenship Award, $100. And Alice Main donated $200 to the James Worthen Citizenship Award. And then we had our addition to that just came in today, the Kessler, thank you, the Charles and Patricia Kessler Scholarship, $5,000 donation. Two $2,500 scholarships will be awarded on Wednesday, I believe.
Excellent. Can I get a motion
So moved.
and a second?
I'll second.
Obviously, thank you for all the donations. It's impressive that every year we're able to continue these scholarships for our students at Johnstown. It just shows what commitment we have from the community and the families that continue to donate year after year. We see the same names donating regularly, a few new names adding here and there, but the same families every year step forward and make donations and show their commitment to the students here at Johnstown, and it is greatly appreciated. The Kessler family made that donation and started that new scholarship and added to the number of scholarships and the amounts we can give our students here, so it's appreciated there. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
I'd like to thank everyone for the donations and to continue the scholarships. It's very important to our students here in Johnstown, and our community comes forward every year. Thank you so much.
I was just going to add, I really enjoy every year at graduation getting to hear the total number of scholarships received. I'm sure you guys really enjoy doing the math on that, but it's phenomenal. But so much of that is done locally, and that's really cool that we can contribute to that.
All right. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Sorry, my computer's just a little bit slow. The next resolution, 2505097, is request to approve the 5-year forecast.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
And a second.
Second?
Is that Mrs. Thomas?
Ms. Booth. Oh,
It's hard to tell unless I look.
yeah.
Yes.
All right, we've discussed it, but if you have anything else to add, any questions on this? Any questions on the 5-year? We've discussed it.
No.
Right. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution 2505098, general fund transfer to the capital projects fund. This would be a transfer of $4.5 million. In accordance with the provisions of Resolution 250407, reestablishing the capital projects fund that was approved on April 14th.
So moved.
Yeah, resolution 2504067. Yep. Get a motion, Ms. Boer, and can I
I'll
get a
second it.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
And the last treasurer recommendation is 2505099 to approve a 5-year lease agreement with Woodhall for copier and managed print services for 17 copiers, 10 printers, effective June 1st at a price not to exceed $3,800.
34,800
Just $3,800 per month. We made the.
per month.
Mhm.
That's
The
right, that's on
adjustment.
the correction, sorry.
Yep.
All right. Motion, please.
So moved.
I'll
And a
second.
Questions, comments?
I would just like to make a comment that, although these are brand-new units, like for like, this lease will actually save us $38,000 over our current costs.
Seemed low.
Excellent,
Well done.
thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Benton,
Yes.
Mr. Swager.
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-099A is authorize then and now certificates.
Can I get a motion? This is the L that we pulled
Oh.
out.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
And can I get a second?
A second.
This, at the time of making such contract or order, at the time of execution of certificate, a sufficient sum was appropriated for the treasury in the process of collection to the credit of an appropriated fund, free from any previous encumbrance. And those are the two for LACA. One
Yep.
was for fiber and the other one's for wireless connection.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Benton,
Yes.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas.
Abstain.
Resolution 25-05-100 is the 2025 Johnstown High School graduates list.
Always nice to approve these. Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
It is always, this is, everything we do, this is
Exciting.
exciting to see, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of hard work here. In front of you, you have your invitations in front of you too. That's what's in the envelope for, I know
I'll
you
be
have it
there.
on your schedule ready for
RSVP.
graduation, but that's your official invitation there too.
I need to RSVP still, but
Your picture?
we're taking a video.
Taking pictures.
A motion and a second. Any questions, comments, other than congratulations?
Congratulations, yes.
All right, thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-101 is rescind Resolution 24-03-047, Memorandum of Understanding.
Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Swire, you want me to read that, a little bit of
Yes,
detail on
please.
that? Okay. This is a resolution to rescind Resolution 24-03-047, which was a memorandum of understanding, and to approve the withdrawal of the memorandum of understanding between and among municipal corporations of Johnstown, Granville, Alexandria, collectively we refer to as the municipalities, and the Johnstown-Monroe Local School District regarding water and wastewater infrastructure.
Any questions, comments on this?
This is really because we're the only entity that's not a service provider in this, and we, always appreciate the partnership, but I think this will leave it to the three main entities then that, provide water and sewer.
Yep.
Or can provide.
Appreciate that. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-102 is extended school year.
Can I get a motion
I'll motion.
and a second?
I'll second.
So we're going to extend the school year for the kids?
There's a few students that actually based on, so, not many. Only
Half
for-
of them went, wait, what?
Only for certain,
Yeah.
a certain group there.
Yep. Any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Do you want to read?
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-103 is Licking Regional Educational Service Center.
Can I get a motion
I'll motion.
and a second?
I'll second.
This is to approve a one-year contract with the LRESC for the attached. Mrs. Drummy and I always work on these, and we worked on it with the staff. Sometimes we even have to bring back modifications, but this will get us started for the next fiscal year.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-104 Surveillance Cameras, Access Controls, and Environmental Sensors.
Can I get a motion
I'll motion.
and a second?
Second.
This is, I know it looks like a large purchase with $460,000 or just over almost $461,000. It is, but what we did, and this goes back to our earlier discussion about, budgeting, capital planning, this will put us onto one platform, so one system throughout the district. Right now, we have two different systems, and, some of the buildings are on one and some are on the other. This also fits in with our refresh policy, so actually, we're just refreshing a little early, but again, it unifies, so it's not really costing us more money. It's just how it's collapsed into one school year. So that's why we're bringing that forward to the board. And the technology team has worked closely on this. And again, we're happy to have one unified system.
And this, did we, refresh my memory, add Cornell School into this as well?
We will. We don't
will.
have that
That's
yet.
When that's
Yeah.
finalized, we'll
Yeah.
have cameras over
So
there.
we'll have,
Add our camera stuff over.
What we're looking at is when the new building is next door here, most
Yeah.
likely that'll be the head end of our next branch.
Yep.
And then from there, eventually that'll feed this building, and then it'll also feed Cornell. Temporarily, with the backside of the building, we're gonna manage that separately, more of a residential setup. But the head end will be here, and I guess it'll truncate off and it'll go to.
And then this also has more of the vape detectors built into this?
Vape detectors are in here, and that'll cover us. We've been piloting that this year, and that's gone well. So at the high school, so that'll cover us at the middle school and high school. And then the other thing is door controls. So some of that will apply to our additional facilities as well. So that'll be the back of this building, what we're using for athletics. That was the former lean-to portion that we referenced. And then also it'll be the door next door, or the eventual building next door, and also for Cornell. By the way, just to throw it in, we'll also have all HVAC controls too that include Cornell as well too. We'll be able to control everything in the environment. We'll put it online as one of our schools.
Sounds good. Any other questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-105 is MAPS testing.
Can I get a motion?
A motion.
I'll second.
Curriculum committee's looked at this. I know Mrs. Thomas talked a little bit about some curriculum committee initiatives, but this will get us lined up for the next year for our testing process, and that's grades K through 12.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
I did have a quick question. Mrs. Wagner, does that replace the maps? Does that replace the KRA, or do we still do the separate? Okay,
Yeah, that's for kindergarten.
that's what I thought. Yeah,
That's required by.
I wasn't sure if it replaced it or.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good? Okay. Resolution 25-05-106, custodial services. I'll say it in a minute.
Get a motion
I can motion.
and a second.
Second?
I know we talked about it a bit tonight, but this will allow us the ability to negotiate a contract, and then if everything comes together, we'll bring that back to the board. But this would be a change in our current provider. And as Mrs. Boer said, we spent a lot of time in buildings and grounds looking at different providers, so.
Sounds good. Call the roll.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-107 is English language arts curriculum, and that's grades 6 through 12.
Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
This is for HMH, as Mrs. Thomas talked earlier, and I know at our last work session, you got to hear from some of the staff, administrators and staff. So it's a lot of money, but again, this, is comparable with what we spend in some other areas when you look at the portioning of it and all too. But really happy the board's supporting a curriculum, and we're really looking at vertical alignment and then all the work that the team does every day to make sure we're vertically aligned from K through 12.
When this was overwhelmingly preferred by the staff at that presentation, so
Yep.
more than happy to vote on this.
I would like to thank the staff that participated in the committee for the 6 through 12. Their feedback was invaluable, and the review time, which is on top of their regular daily teaching. So we appreciate that. We appreciate that they came to the meeting and gave us some feedback. And the interaction at the work session was great because they were able to provide us some details that we don't really see or hear about. So it was informative for the board.
I was just going to add that they were extremely thorough, the staff, but they were also extremely excited. And I hope that the teachers who were able to be a part of that and to kind of look online, look at the actual material, that they can maybe serve as ambassadors or spreading the spirit and excitement, because I know that it can probably feel really daunting taking on new curriculum, especially teachers who've had new stuff year after year. But there really was excitement, and there really was, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
It was exciting that they can still continue with the books that they love. Several of the teachers do a book, what would they call it, a book study, a book study in a semester, and they can still incorporate that and use all the databases with HMH. So that was good.
And we put a not to exceed, it's almost 185,000, and that, we're still working with the publisher to see if there's any reductions, but at least that'll be we've already had a couple reductions, but we know it won't be any more than that money, so, or that amount.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-108 is approval of Wilson Foundations and Just Words materials.
If I can get a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Similar to other, curriculum and instruction initiatives, this is the recommended for our school
Pretty
district.
familiar with these
Yep.
Yeah.
at this point. Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-109 is creation of a teacher on special assignment.
Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
As we think about curriculum instruction for the upcoming school year, this would allow us a lot of new initiatives we have. This would allow us to assign one of our teachers to work in curriculum instruction along with Mrs. Seibel, especially as we are thinking about the future and some of our strategic planning moving forward, I'll say that.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-110 is a title modification.
And a motion?
I'll motion.
And a second.
Second.
This is for Mrs. Grace Wagner. She's been considered coordinator of student services for some time, and all we want to do is change her title to director. That keeps it in line with other positions in the district. Larger, though, we're talking about the future, and this coming year we'll be studying and the role and function of student services. We actually are looking at some things in gifted, for example, so I might be coming to you at some point with a greater study to see if there's some areas I want to add under student services or expand. Like I said, maybe in gifted, we're looking at that. So that'll be part of one of our study initiatives for the upcoming school year.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes. I was the
You're
second.
not bored yet? Because I'm being.
No biggie. Excuse me.
25-05-111 is creation of a maintenance supplemental. It's out of classification extended responsibility.
Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
As you know, the board approved Mr. Jennings, our facilities manager, retirement at the end of June. So we're looking at some restructuring. Mr. Busenberg's going to be helping with some expanded leadership within operations. And then what we thought we would try for a period of time is to add a supplemental. Won't change the base pay, but if one of our maintenance staff are qualified, we would add a supplemental and have that person do some additional work. We want to specifically look at workflow, how we're managing the workflow, schedules and all. There would not be a supervisory responsibility within this. It'll be just looking at the operations within maintenance, but Mr. Busenberg will be the one over top of all the maintenance requirements. This person would assist with that process.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Or, excuse me, Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
And Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
You threw me because I didn't think I
Yep,
motioned.
sorry.
Maybe I did.
Resolution 25-05-112 are extended days for CTEC employee.
Can I have a motion?
I'll motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
This is from Matt Howe, up to 5 days. As the new high school, or the addition comes online, we're looking to reorganize the high school building there. And then also, we're using the former welding area that's on the back of the middle school, so we want to be able to reorganize some of that. Okay. So Mr. Howe is going to offer to do that. We put up to 5 days. And we'll see what we can do with that area and give an update to the board afterwards.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mr. Benton.
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-113 are extended days to move the JHS Media Center.
Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
And a second.
Second.
This is up to 3 days for Mrs. Alicia Doty. And as you know, our circulation has changed, not quite as large as it was in the Media Center, and our STEAM programs are growing. So what we're looking to do is move the Media Center portion out of its current location. We'll recapture that for clean steam, which we already have some of that. And then we'll move to another room, and Mrs. Doty, as our media specialist, offered to help in that. So we'll look to up to 3 days this summer to get that done. That'll be part of with the building addition and reorganizing.
Any
of
questions?
the building.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mr. Benton,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-114 is approval of overnight extended trip for girls basketball grades 9 through 12.
Can we get a motion?
I'll motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any questions on the overnight girls trip? They did it last year.
They did do it last year, but I saw that the volunteers for the moms hadn't been decided yet, but that's coming up pretty quick. They'll have to probably fast track through
Yeah.
Hondros College over there, but
Goodness.
that's the only thing I saw
Yeah.
that we didn't have those finalized yet.
Mr. Helmke does a great job with this.
He does.
Yeah. So
Not
we'll-
worried,
Yeah. So we'll,
but I did notice that on the form.
thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mr. Benton,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-115 is approval of overnight extended student trip, and that's for football camp.
And can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any questions on this? This is the, I'll call it the usual OWU.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Carter does a nice job with this.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He does.
Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mr. Benton,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-116 is approval of overnight extended student trip for the senior trip.
And can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
Mrs. Ortman is here, but we certainly appreciate the early work on this, about 11 months in advance you're approving it, so that's exciting. And I know the calendar's a little different this coming year, so be a little early, about a week earlier than it normally is, but that's just the way everything falls, and we'll be ready for that, so.
Was it nice weather this time when you went? Yes, it was beautiful. That's good.
Excellent. Any questions, comments?
No comment, no conflicts this year with scheduling.
Musicals.
Not that we can see.
That's why she's getting this in
Well, thanks
early.
for being flexible.
great,
last
thank
time.
you.
Or you get this approved first, and then
Call the roll,
works
please.
around you.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Abstain.
and Mrs.
I'll
Boer?
have a senior going on the trip.
Did you call my name?
Yes.
He was still talking. The answer is yes.
Resolution 25-05-117, transportation deemed impractical for the 24-25 school year.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
As a reminder, we're adding clauses to this resolution and 118 and proof of proper custody and residential address within the Johnstown-Monroe local school district for the 24-25 school year.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05118 is payment in lieu of transportation for the 24-25 school year.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
Again, that has that extra clause, the same language as the previous resolution.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mr. Benton.
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-119 is employment of residency officer.
Can we get a motion?
All motion.
And a second?
A second.
This provides up to 15 days. We have a anonymous tip line, and then we also pursue things. So we'll let you know if we need more. But this has been a successful program to make sure that the students who are attending here are actually residents of the Johnstown-Monroe School
And
District.
we used 15 this year as well.
We actually used, I think we started with 10 and we added days.
Yeah, I remember.
We had to add days this year, so we started this year with 15. So.
That seems fair.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question on it. Could we have a report on that at some point, maybe to see how it's working and
Yep.
how many residents we find that are not residents?
Yep, absolutely.
Any other questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Benton,
Yes.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mr. Swager.
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-120, suspension of classroom supplies requirement and some student fees for the 25-26 school year.
Oh, motion.
I'll second.
We did that as an experiment as this school year as part of the board's recommendation. It's gone well. One of the things with all the study last year, we got a relatively late start, so if the board approves this tonight, we'll be able to announce this before the end of the school year and get everything organized. I do want to highlight that it is classroom supplies requirements and some student fees, so we're very clear in here and what will remain in place. So there's a list there, but you see like testing and technology fees, goes all the way down to.
Are we mirroring what we just did this past year?
Yes.
Okay. No
Yes.
additions, no deletions?
No changes
Just to make it
it,
clear.
no. Except the only thing is with the supplies that, effectively, we might get some different quality of supplies. But
Right,
yeah,
we're
it's
getting
exact-
ahead of it, ordering
Yep.
earlier,
Yep.
that way everyone knows what we
Yep.
get. Okay.
Yep. But this would provide, we heard, I'm sure you did, from a lot of parents, they appreciated the support, and it was actually helpful to the staff
And the
as well,
staff,
too.
I was
Oh,
gonna say, the staff
yeah.
appreciated not having
Yeah.
to track down things and,
Yeah.
chase them down to
Yeah.
see who's got Kleenex and who has,
Well, we have the buying power, it's,
Right.
families go out and they buy X number of units, but if you're buying 1,000, a quarter of a penny doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up, when you start taking things to scale. So.
Any questions, comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mr. Benton.
Yes.
That'll be an important announcement for the school district, so Mr. McDonald and I will work on a review for that, kind of press release, and we'll want some input from the board on that, because that's one to really make sure we get in front of parents, but also to celebrate, so we appreciate that. Resolution 25-05-121, volunteers.
I don't know if we can get a motion on this one. Can we get a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
All right.
So it wasn't a conflict, we pulled one of our volunteers out of the larger group.
Any questions, comments? Obviously, this is Mrs. Thomas's husband, so she won't be voting on this.
The only thing he
It's a
spells.
volunteer position, so anyone
It's a
else's
volunteer.
spouse wants to volunteer, we'll
Yeah.
take them too.
You can tell Alan he spells his name incorrectly. He has one too many L's.
He would tell you that you spell it incorrectly.
Any questions, comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mr. Benton,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas.
Abstain.
Resolution 25-05-122, second reading of revised policies.
Can you get a motion?
A motion?
I'll second it.
Any questions, comments on these? At this point, we've seen these policies enough.
Yeah.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Benton.
Yes.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-123, second reading to rescind policies.
A motion?
Motion and a second.
I'll second it.
Jump to him.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Benton.
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mr. Swager.
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-124, second reading replacement policies.
Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
And a
I'll
second.
second it.
Questions, comments? Call the roll.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-125, second reading, new policies.
Motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-126, first reading, revised policies.
Motion and a second.
I'll motion.
I'll second it.
Questions, comments? Call the roll.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Good? Okay. You notice we're getting long because we went through the whole alphabet and we're in BB.
Right,
Have you
right.
noticed that?
Yeah,
This
it's
is
a
like
long
a
agenda.
monster
I'm on
agenda.
page 22.
Charlie's parents are like, why did you invite us to this board meeting, right?
Yeah.
I'll show you what being superintendent really
Yeah.
means.
This is a hard.
Friday will
hard-
be back next
Career
month.
counseling for Charlie.
We're almost done. We just got a couple more policies.
Hanging in
to
there.
go.
Yeah, she's doing a great job.
We
She's
got this
tracking
one.
right with
I'm
me.
listening to the
Yeah.
rain and
No,
miss my
no,
turn to say yes. I mean, I don't
Tracking
know.
right with me here, so. Okay, 25-05-127, first reading to rescind policies.
Motion and a second.
I'll motion.
I'll second it.
Questions, comments? Call the roll.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-128, first reading replacement policies.
Motion and second.
I'll motion.
I'll second it.
Questions, comments? Call the roll.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Resolution 25-05-129, first reading of new policies.
Motion and second.
I'll motion.
I'll second it.
Questions, comments? Call the roll.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Board comments.
Any board comments?
No.
I just wanted, one thing I did see, as you know, I helped volunteer for baseball, and we went out to Newark Catholic, and we won, which is always nice. But more importantly, after the game, our baseball team cleaned up the entire dugout, which was theirs, but they cleaned up trash that was down the right field line, which was not theirs. They cleaned up trash that was behind the dugout that was not theirs. So I do appreciate when our student athletes leave play, all of our coaches say it in every sport, leave it better than we found it. But it's always nice to see them actually do it when no one had to say it. They just went out and did it. It is a fact of life for our kids, and I want to point out that we do an excellent job, the coaches do. I was just standing at first base, not doing a whole lot in my volunteer aspect, and the game ended, and they just went and started cleaning without even being told. They
amazing.
know the expectation, so I do want to point out that I appreciate that, and quite honestly, I'd like to see parents hold themselves to that same expectation when they leave our football games in the evening sometimes. But our students do an excellent job, really, in all sports. They just leave it better than they found it, and I'd implore everybody to leave it better than you find it. So I do appreciate that. Over to you.
Okay, a couple things real quick. We had Staff Appreciation Week. I'm sure you saw the social media post. The PTO, I mean, I can't say enough
Did a
about.
fabulous job.
I mean, they spoiled everyone so much that, you know, every day it was something new. They actually have some pullovers tomorrow. I think we'll have everyone in the office. We'll get a picture, but some of the buildings had it though too. But just tremendous job by the PTO. It's just, yeah. Thank you to the board because you did some nice things for the staff as well too. We had some sheet cakes for some comments, so we appreciate it. But the PTO spoiled everybody. It was really hard to follow that, right?
Yeah.
It was really hard to follow that.
PTO
so.
outdid us, but that's
Yeah,
all right.
they
Even with your sheet cake, they still
well,
outdid
sheet cake's great, but you know, and the food. I mean, I think we're all going to be looking at next diets or something. Like I think it was so much going on there, and there's still plenty there. So we certainly appreciate that, but really, it's just just speaks to the community and how we're celebrated, and certainly Wait, what are we doing?
We would like to thank everyone for all of the support for Teacher Appreciation Week. It truly was appreciated by all of us. I forgot to sign it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were like raising your hand on the diet thing, because I'm like, yeah, I'm there too. But now I see they wanted to say something, so sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good stuff.
I was gonna give a shout out. While it is a club sport, the Johnstown Lacrosse Middle School boys were state champs over the weekend. Mini games, so yes, and it's only our second year, so they definitely deserve the
Virginia
shout out.
sent that to me today, so we'll
Yeah,
Great.
excellent.
try to recognize
Are we
that.
gonna have them at the next meeting, maybe, or?
Yeah, no, that's
Not
a
the
club sport,
19th.
so it's maybe JYA is gonna do something we can piggyback off of. They're part of JYA, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
We'll follow
I
up
wasn't
with
sure
that.
how that works with the
Yeah,
middle school and
we were
stuff.
talking about that today, because we didn't want to supersede JOA. We kind of got a post ready, but then we,
Mm.
make sure we follow their lead on that,
Yep.
so. But anyways, back to Staff Appreciation Week. Also, we had school lunch heroes, we had school bus drivers and school nurses we recognized, so a lot of celebrations all the way around. But I guess the bottom line is, we can't do this without all of us as a professional family, so we appreciate it. Global Scholars, I know you saw a little bit about that, but boy, I'm telling you, for a smaller school district, you know, we're a little competitive. We had a lot of kids there, and just the breadth of work, and appreciate the board support of that. This is our third year with the program. It was Mr. Busenberg's last year, and Mr. Shipton picked up the baton this year, and it's just wonderful to expand the opportunities for our students, so tremendous. So we have a lot of celebration there. I know you've seen some of it. You know, we had our representative, Kevin Miller, come for Ohio District 69. He was here on April 28th. Mrs. Drummy was talking about school funding a bit, and really do appreciate that he spent like 2 hours and 15 minutes with us. Mrs. Boer was able to join us, kind of quick notice and everything, but just when your public officials come and he was very impressed with what we're doing at the high school, and you get to see the career tech programs. Mr. Shipton walked us around, and the two programs we have right now with electrical trades and multi-skill, but also then the health sciences coming as part of the addition. But then we spent equal amount of time on school funding, so just, I don't know that I've had a legislator spend that much time with us, so I think it was over 2 hours, so appreciate that.
That's great.
And then, other than that, we're just working on staffing for the coming year. You've seen some of that tonight, but, you know, that's pretty much a full-time job. Mr. Werman's been helping run point on that, so we appreciate that, in addition to his principal responsibilities at JIS. And then we talked about graduation, so I don't have to repeat it, although it is exciting. And I think that's,
And you ordered the same weather from last year for this year, correct?
well, we're
Yeah.
watching. We
Put the
think,
same weather
yeah,
in there?
the extended,
Well,
I
just a
think.
little bit
Well,
better.
actually, I don't know,
Just a
last
little bit
year, remember, that was swirling, and it seemed like that was a,
We had Mr.
Turned out
Snyderman like
Yeah.
speeding up on those names.
Turned out nice.
It did.
finally, I want to thank
Beats
Charlie.
the snow year.
Yeah, that's right. I wasn't here for that. But I want to thank Charlie for being here, with her
Yes.
parents and all too, and we'll have more to
Thank
do
you.
on Friday, but Trooper, she's tracking along here with
Yeah.
us and
It's
keeping
wonderful.
up, so we'll spend some time on Friday, and like I said, we'll publish this after that. So,
And it'll be much more exciting than this.
and much more.
Promise
yeah.
you.
So, plus, we're gonna go see your brother.
And you're gonna have lunch,
Yeah.
right?
We'll do lunch, yeah.
Lunch?
We haven't decided what we're doing there, meet some public officials, so all good stuff.
Excellent.
But thanks for being here. And that's
All
all I
right.
have.
We have
Resolution,
executive session.
yeah, I was gonna say resolution 25-05-129A. Let me read that real quick. I have it pulled up since I turned my computer back on. I was telling Charlie, this is why you have a computer. So this is executive session for consideration of the employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. Mr. Schwager, I don't think we're expecting a vote afterwards.
No action afterward.
Okay.
If I can get a motion
So moved.
and a second.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Boer,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening and appreciate it.
Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
I'll turn the mic off.
Charlie.